Alright guys, I just wanted to let you know we're filming a tutorial in your village. Are we okay with this? I'll take that as a yes. What's up guys, JW the Entertainer here. What are we doing here, you might ask? Well, after some requests, I have decided to take it upon myself to start a tutorial series. That's right, we're going to be tutorialing people. That might not be a word. But we're going to be teaching people about Minecraft basics. And in this very first episode, we're going to be delving into Tinker's Construct. The very basics of Tinker's Construct, actually. So let's waste no time and let's get right into it. Alright guys, I've got everything kind of set up here to go through this fairly quickly here for you. So, we're going to start off with the very basics in Tinker's Construct, which is the Tinker's Construct Smeltery. Now, in order to start building the Tinker's Construct Smeltery, you're going to need several things here. All of these vanilla items, you're going to need clay, sand, and gravel, and quite a bit of all of these, because it takes quite a bit to actually get a full-size Tinker Smeltery operational. There's two crafting recipes for this, both of which are laid out right here. This one here, with the one piece of clay, one sand, and one gravel, only gives you 2 grout, which is what you're going to need to make seared bricks. The suggested way to do this is to do it this way, where you have a clay block and then 4 of each here. This will give you 8 grout. Kind of makes the crafting process a little quicker and kind of speeds you along things quicker than this recipe here will. So that's really what you're going to need to start here, and that's going to make your seared brick here, which I totally forgot to get rid of these things. Alright, so once you've got quite a bit of that, and I recommend at least getting 3 stacks of that just to start out with. You may want to take more as time goes, but at least 3 is definitely going to be the way to start out. You're going to want to take those over to your furnaces. And you're going to want to plop them in your furnace, and theoretically you'll have something here to burn, which I just emptied out of my inventory actually. Darn it! Alright, so I'm back with something to actually burn this. So you're going to put those in your furnaces like so, and then these are going to smelt down into your seared bricks. And you'll get 1 seared brick for each piece of grout that you have. Now, once we get into the crafting recipes, which we are about to do here in just a moment, we're going to show you how to lay out the seared brick to actually create the parts you're going to need for the Tinker's Construct. Alright, over here in this chest, we actually have seared brick laid out in formats that you're going to need to craft the various blocks that go into making a Tinker's Construct Smeltery. This is your very basic one right here. You got 4 seared brick and a 2x2 pattern. That's going to give you seared bricks, which is the actual brick block. This block can also be used for decoration, and if you're playing in, say, a mod pack with the chisel mod, it can also be a chiseled block as well, and be used in several ways for decoration. So this is the basis for everything in your Tinker's Smeltery right here. This is your base block. The next, and probably one of the most important blocks that you're going to need, is the Smeltery controller. As it says, this is the brain of the Smeltery. This is where you're going to put in all of your ores, and this is where you're going to see how much lava that you have. And that's crafted just by chest pattern on the crafting grid with the seared bricks. Nothing too hard about that, fairly simple to make. Alright, over here in this chest, moving right along, we have the Smeltery drain. To pour your molten ores from the smeltery, you're going to need to craft at least 1 smeltery drain, and that's crafted by doing 3 seared bricks down either side of the crafting grid here. And ideally you probably want to have a multitude of these. If you're using the smeltery for your primary source of processing your ores, it'll go a lot quicker by pouring bricks of ore instead of just pouring single ingots of ore. So you're going to want a bunch of these to kind of make the process move a little bit quicker here. Next we have the seared tank, and it's very similar crafting recipe to the controller. You just stick a piece of glass in there. Now what the seared tank does is this actually holds lava, which is the power source for the Tinker's Smeltery. And I forget right off the top of my head how many it holds. I think it holds 4 buckets of lava, if I recall correctly. So you just right-click the lava in on those. We'll show you that here in just a few moments. And you'll fill it up, and then you can start smelting to your heart's delight. It's also important to note that you can have more than one seared tank on a Tinker's Smeltery. The more lava you have, the less likely you are to run out mid-smelting, and it's just a lot easier to keep things going, is what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. Alright, now over here what we have is the casting table. Now the casting table is going to be used when you start getting into your Tinker's tools. And the casting table is laid out just like a pair of pants, just with seared brick. So pretty much you're crafting pants, and it magically turns into a casting table. Cool how things work. The next thing you're going to need is a casting basin. Now what this does is this allows you to pour solid blocks of ore. Now in any block of ore, solid block of ore, there's 9 ingots in there. So it's a little bit more time efficient if you're looking to just smelt through your ores to pour them into casting basins, and it also saves in storage if you have them in block form instead of ingot form. This is my preferred way, as I knock stuff over on my desk. This is the preferred way to do it, at least by me anyway, and this is just crafted by doing a pair of upside down pants, or the U shape. And finally, the last thing you're going to need for basic smeltery startup here is the seared faucet. Now what you're going to do is you're going to put the seared faucets on the smeltery drains, and that's going to actually enable you to actually pour the liquid out of the Tinker's Construct smeltery. Without this, you're not going to get very far. And that's just crafted in a V shape, kind of like a bucket, but with seared brick. Nothing to it. It's also important to note that in the very beginning of the game, you're going to get one of these books right here. It's called the Materials NU Volume 1. And what this book does is it basically, I should probably turn this back on, is it basically kind of walks you through some of the basics of Tinker's Construct and getting started. If you're brand new to the mod, it might be pertinent to kind of give it a look through once or twice to kind of know what you're doing. If you're playing the mod in a mod pack or with other mods that you yourself have put together, chances are, especially in a mod pack, it's going to be bundled with NEI, or not enough items, in which case you don't really need to consort this for the recipes because you can look it up through NEI. But if you're just playing the mod as a standalone in vanilla Minecraft, this is definitely a very good guide to kind of help you get going and kind of guide your direction. There are multiple volumes of this, and they can each be crafted by placing your book, which I can't do it here because I'm in creative, but just your personal crafting grid. You can place the book in there, and it will automatically craft the next volume here, and so on and so forth, all the way down to Diary of a Tinkerer. So you'll get your Materials in U, you'll craft that to Materials in U Volume 2, that can be crafted into Mighty Smelting, and Mighty Smelting can be crafted into Diary of a Tinkerer. And each one of these books has different information. Each one goes a little bit further into what you can do with Tinker's Construct. So if you're new to it, definitely give them a look through. They'll be of a great help later on in the game. Now that we've kind of got all that laid out, let's go over the actual basic construction of a Tinker's Construct smeltery. As you can see, we already have one together right here. But before we show you that, we're going to go over this in our sun setting. Let's fix that. Whoop. Voila! Nice. Magic. Alright, what we have here is this is your base of the Tinker's Construct smeltery. It has to be laid out in a 3x3 pattern just like this. And my personal recommendation is when you set this out, make sure you've got enough space around it, because you're going to have to put, let's walk over here, you're going to have to put the walls around that. If you look in here, you will see your 3x3 pattern, and then the walls of the smeltery actually start on the outside of that, laid out just like this right here. And this is the way I generally lay mine out. This is personal preference. You don't have to do it like this, but I find for me, for my smeltery, this is kind of the way that I like to go about doing it. I like to have 3 casting tables and 3 casting basins on each side. And here's where you're going to put your casts for your tools and various equipment that you can make with Tinker's Construct. And over here, this is where you pour your blocks out, and you just click on that. We've got one seared tank. Like I said, I usually have 2 of these in here, but just for illustration purposes, I only put one in here, and we filled it up with lava. Over here in this chest here, we've actually got some ore that we're going to throw in here. We're going to take the iron ore, and you can just shift click that in there. And it's also important to note that the higher that your smeltery is, the more spaces that you actually have here for actually throwing ore. So I build mine at least 3 tall. You can build it a lot taller than that, which will enable you to actually process more ore at one time. Another trick that I could also suggest if you're looking to do multiple kinds of ore and your smeltery might not actually be big enough, if you connect a hopper to your controller here, you can load your hopper with a chest on top with your various ores and just keeping it running through the smeltery. However, your smeltery can fill up, so bear that in mind when you're approaching it with that method. So we've almost got our iron ore here. We're going to let that process through, just like that. Alright, we've got a full thing of iron ore. To pour out the block, all you have to do is right-click on one of the seared faucets, just kind of let it sit there and do its thing. And it will fill up. It is putting 9 ingots in here. It is making a solid block, vanilla block of iron ore. I also kind of want to put some gold in here and show you guys this too. Gold is used for making tinker's casts. Now, I don't want to get too far into this tutorial. I want to keep it basic just for the smeltery setup. But we are going to smelt some gold, and I will show you how to create a cast. And we can finish pouring those out. And see, now we've got our block of iron that we can take over here. And we can pull that out into 9 ingots. It's pretty effective to do it that way, instead of doing it ingot by ingot. Alright, our gold's done. Since I don't have anything in here, I actually have the ingots here. So I can make an ingot cast, which is kind of wise to do because you're not always going to get a full block's worth of material out of your smeltery. You're going to have a few left over. So in that instance, we want to select our gold. And you can select whatever liquid ore that you have in here just by left clicking on it. It brings it to the bottom. The one on the bottom is the one that you're going to pour. And we have an ingot in here, and we can right click on that. It's going to pour the cast around the ingot, and we can pick the ingot up, and now we have a gold ingot cast. And with the ingot cast, you can just pour single ingots. But like I said, it's not very economical if you're trying to process a lot of ores to do it ingot by ingot. So the block is definitely the way to go. It's probably also important to take note that the Tinker's Construct mod adds several different types of ore generation into the game. So you can see here we've got copper, tin, lead ore, silver ore, and ferrous ore. Those are all different ores that you can use to make various pieces of equipment with Tinker's Construct. Like I said, this is a real basic setup tutorial for the Tinker's Smeltery, so I'm not going to elaborate too much on this just yet. I just want you to be aware of what these ores are and what they are used for right here. Again, not delving too far into things here. These are the actual tables that you're going to need to start getting into tool crafting. Not so much the crafting station. I mean, you can get away without using a crafting station. Just a vanilla bench would suffice just fine. But this is nicer because you can actually put items in there and it will store the item for you. It won't throw them on the ground if you back out of the screen. So I personally, even if I'm not using Tinker's Construct, I generally craft one of these crafting stations just for that pure fact right there, because I have a bad tendency to close the screen out and just throw materials all over the place. My maid's never happy when I do that, so we try to keep it all together there in the crafting station. The next thing is going to be a stencil table. Like I said, I'm not going to get into how to craft these just yet, but the stencil table will actually craft the stencils you'll need. The pattern chest will hold the stencils and the casts that you make, so that's good right there. The part builder is for your various materials and your casts. You can make stone tools out of this, and then your tool station is where you actually put the tool together. Like I said, we're not going to get into that this tutorial, but I do want you to be aware of what these things are, and kind of have a basic understanding of what their purpose is in the game. That in mind, there's one more thing that I want to show you guys before we end up this tutorial here, and that's over in our wonderful village over here. Alright, now you'll notice this Tinker's Smeltery right here. This was pre-genned into the village because of the Tinker's Construct mod. The Tinker's Construct mod will periodically generate pre-built Tinker's Construct smelteries in villages like this. However, this is not all that you are going to need. This is not a functional smeltery. All this is some starting material for you to start your own smeltery. You still have to craft a controller, you still have to craft a seared tank, faucets, drains, but if you do run across one of these, it is a very good idea to take all of these things with you, especially if you haven't gotten into Tinker's Construct yet, as these are things that you will need to craft, and since they're already crafted and the villagers don't seem to be doing anything with it, why not? There's one more thing to note about village generation with the Tinker's Construct mod. Hey guys, what are you? I'm filming a tutorial here. Can we not be all up in my face, please? Anyway, let's okay, he's leaving. Good, get out of here. Anyway, this is a Tinker's Construct house. This also generates with the Tinker's Construct mod. And again, just like the pre-built smeltery, it includes some things that you are actually going to need for Tinker's Construct. So if you happen upon a village with one of these houses, I would definitely recommend taking everything out of here. You've got your tool station, you've got a pattern chest, preloaded with patterns, mind you. Not all of these you'll need, but it would definitely not be a bad idea to trash the ones that you don't. But yeah, you've got some pre-generated patterns there. You got your part builder. It comes with a crafting station, preloaded with a few supplies as well, and a stencil table. It also gives you a regular chest with a few pre-crafted parts here, and a random kind of piston. I don't quite understand the random piston, but it's free, so take it, yeah. And there's wool, which is always a good thing. So, guys, can I get through this tutorial, please? Alright, so we had to leave the village. That was a little too much. And nighttime is setting upon us, so it's a good time to end up the tutorial. So anyway, we've went over the basics of the Tinker's Construct smeltery here. Hopefully that was enough information to get you guys kind of up and running with the basics of Tinker's Construct. There's much more to the mod than I went over. However, anyone that may be new to Tinker's Construct, I don't want to overload you with the first tutorial video here. I want you to kind of understand some of the basics of Tinker's Construct and some of the things that you are going to need to build and or find and what they kind of do. There's also crafting recipes for various other things here, such as tools and the workstations, that I will touch on when we get into a more advanced tutorial on the mod. I also want to note that the mod pack that I'm using to do these tutorials in is called Karma by Chaos Chunk, Drak, and Ladar. Chaos Chunk, as you may know, is from the Build Guild. And their mod pack is on the AT launcher. I highly recommend a download for it. There will be a link description below. And yeah, that's kind of wrapping it up, guys. So thank you guys for watching the very first JW Entertainer tutorial, guys. I appreciate it. Hopefully you got something out of this. By the way, don't forget to leave a comment and like the video if you found this tutorial helpful. And well, happy smelting.